Good day to you. Welcome back to Catch It, a new perception. I hope that today finds you well. I hope it finds your family well. And I hope that your perception is not just starting to change. I hope that your perception is continuing to change. I hope that your terminology is changing. The words and phrasing that you use, the approach that you make, the timing that you have. My hope is that it all continues to change on a regular basis. In doing so, your life will begin to change in ways. Some of it will be subconscious, some of it you will be very conscious of because you're beginning to make these changes that have been so necessary in your life that you haven't made up to this point. At times it's been a detriment because you haven't been willing to accept what I think you know. And what you know is that you have the power to change the way you think today. You have the ability to be able to think different. And now you've begun to get some tools on how to think different so you can feel different. You can think different about yourself and everyone around you. Your children, your parents, your grandchildren, your grandparents, your loved ones, your spouse, your friends, your acquaintances, your family. You can think different about every one of them. Ones that have offended you at times in the past. You may think different of them today. And if you don't, maybe it's time to do some more work around this, in this area. I encourage you, if you're beginning to feel different, you're thinking different, and your world's beginning to change, and you're on medication for depression, anxiety, bipolar, anything else that may help with the mental health, I encourage you to continue to do those things because they are part of what's helping you. Follow the instructions of the people that you have leaned on to get you to where you're at. Continue to do the things that you need to do. Today I was thinking about passion and how to have passion in the things that we do and how healthy that can be. What's it mean to have passion? Are you passionate about things? Do you have passion in your life with your place of employment? With what you do for your livelihood, whatever that may be being self-employed. Maybe that you have the privilege of working for someone else. Do you have passion? Are you passionate about riding motorcycles, hiking, gambling, sex, drugs? What is it you're passionate about, and what part of it is healthy for you? Are you passionate about things that are unhealthy for you? Are the biggest passions in your life unhealthy? Sex outside of the relationship that you're in, and you're in a monogamous relationship, supposedly. At least your partner's in a monogamous relationship. That doesn't sound like a healthy passion. Gambling to the point where you will take money away from bills, family, or people that you love because you're gambling too much. Doesn't sound like a healthy passion. Doing drugs, drinking to excess, you're passionate about it. And you do it to excess, so it doesn't sound like it's healthy. Bicycling, running, working out in the gym. What is it you're passionate about, and how healthy is it for you today? If you don't have anything in your life you're passionate about, make some changes. Encompass some things in your life that you're passionate about. Going to church, ceremony. You sit in some sacred circles and you're passionate about it. What is it that you can do today to bring more joy through passion? The reason I ask this is because I think that there's a lot of things that we do that we're passionate about that aren't healthy if you're like me. When I was coming up, I was very passionate. At a young age, I was very passionate about smoking weed. And I thought it was wonderful. And I used it as a form of escape, and I used it as a form of euphoria, and I used it for many different things. And what was happening is I become very passionate about it. So, by the time you're out of, grade school, getting into junior high, you have to know how to roll it. You have to know how to purchase it. You have to know how to share it so that your purchases become less, and maybe you could share it with enough people that it wasn't costing anything financially. And passionate enough about it, learn how to grow it maybe, or what tastes good, what smells good, and the aromas with it, everything that goes with it. Very passionate about it. It was opening a door I did not need, and I didn't know it. I was so passionate about the way I lived, in the things that I did around this, drinking, smoking weed, other drugs, whatever, that I got an A+ in civics because I knew I needed to know the law of the things that I was doing, because I walked a very fine line in what was legal. I thought it was. That may be a bit of an exaggeration, walking a fine line. And I wanted to know the laws. I was very good at math because I wanted my business side of it to be able to prosper, even though it may not have been a legitimate business in the way some people see it. I wanted to make sure that I did good business. So very passionate about it. And it took me down a hole. It opened doors that I didn't know would be there. All of a sudden I'd look over and a door would appear, and I'd walk through that door. Sometimes I'd bust it down. Sometimes I'd shatter right through it. And I had no idea it was a glass door before I took that hard left. My passion hasn't always been healthy. And on the other hand, I'm very passionate about certain things, sometimes with a reason coming into it, and sometimes because of what I find when I'm in it. And I'll give a couple of examples of that. I am in early grade school, living in a very small community, and I had a friend of mine that would be talking about football each year when we started school. It was football season in the fall. And he's talking about a professional team from a different state. And he was passionate. And I loved it because I didn't have anyone else I talked football with. And we'd talk about how great the team's going to be because they were in the past and we knew they would be again. And they failed miserably. And again, the next year, same thing. And then the next year, we're talking about how great they're going to be because we know the Pack is back. And we know the glory years of before. And again, they began to fail miserably. My friend that I talked football with returned to the spirit world at age 9. He may have only been 8. It was in the fall that year. We were in second grade. I had just turned 9, I believe. I may have just turned 8. The year is kind of fuzzy to me. And when he left, I started to root very hard for the Green Bay Packers. And at that time, when I was young, they were a very mediocre to bad team. I remember we had a winning season one time. It was 8-7-1. They had one tie, 7 losses and 8 wins. And we had a winning season. Until I was in my early 20s, that was the most I ever saw for a winning season. 5-3-1, maybe in a strike-shortened year. They were just a bad team. And the Green Bay Packers were my team. I was passionate about it. Now, I didn't tell people when I was young that I became a Packer fan because Scott died, and he was a Packer fan, and he and I talked football. I didn't talk about that. It's hard to talk about him. He was a friend of mine that left when I was 8 years old, and to return to the spirit world, to be killed that young with no notice. He wasn't ill, he wasn't sick. It was difficult for me to understand in general. So I felt like I could hold on to him a little bit if I continued to root for the Green Bay Packers. And then as I got a little older and they still weren't that good, at least I realized I was rooting for a pretty cool franchise. Found out a little bit about them, about their history, what was going on with the team through the decades. It was really cool. So I started that passion with reason. I think about another passion I have in my life. Riding motorcycles. There's many others. I'm just using another example that developed differently. And I get on a motorcycle and I enjoy riding it. I like hitting my face in the wind, no windshield, narrow tires, small little bike, kickstart. Just fun. Just get out in the wind, get on that highway, get pushed around by that semi when you meet him on 2 lanes, and just the beauty of riding. I've ridden many different flavors of bikes, different brand names. And I can appreciate riding. To me, it is all about the ride, getting in the wind, being free in the sense of my mind not being scattered, not magnifying on one thing, just being free. I didn't realize how connected I was getting to the Creator when I would get on my motorcycle. Maybe some of you people get there when you go for a bicycle ride, when you go for a run, when you get in the gym, when you go hiking. I understand, because I'm connected to outdoors, how some of those things also will do it for me. Yoga, meditation, very passionate, very healthy things. Within my budget, I buy a motorcycle that I can afford within my budget. I get the equipment I need within my budget, and I'm not overspending for my passion the way I once would have with drugs and alcohol, the way that I would if I was gambling because of the way that I gamble. It's not healthy for a guy like me. So what is it you're passionate about? How do you carry yourself with that passion? Do you still have to tell everyone about it, or do you wait for them to inquire and share a little bit? That's more my way. If people want to talk about it, I'd be happy to talk about it. I don't have to bring it up, and it's not the only conversation I have with people. I want to engage with people. I'm passionate about conversations with people. Being passionate about food can be healthy or unhealthy. If you're like I was at one point, I would overeat, thinking I'm eating for flavor, thinking that's good, rather than only eating for nutritional value and being able to appreciate the flavors and the senses that I have around food. To be able to appreciate sitting down with family and friends and sharing a meal. I am passionate about that. It just looks different. What is it you're passionate about? Are you doing it? Stop waiting to do it. Grab your passion. Be healthy about it. Move forward with it. Run through the day with it. Run to the light with it. If you're passionate about your spiritual path, engage, be part of. I am, and I do. And I get that starts each day, asking the Creator to guide my thoughts, my words, and my actions, and ask that I be of service to everyone I meet. Doing yoga and meditation, and doing some rituals along the way, some very ancient ceremonies that seem to fit into my life. I'm very passionate about it. And through that passion, I feel like I fit in. So if you want to belong, if you want to feel like you're part of, maybe it's time for you to find something to be passionate about. Join a group of people that do that. Conversate with those people. Commune with those people. Put everything within reason. Put everything that you have into it. Walk with a good heart today. Share with others. Be kind. Live in harmony with and use the bounty of the land to bring kindness to the world. Dok Shao, okay?